Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to have you both here with us. Maybe you could just kick off with a brief introduction to this incredible film about Joan. Maybe you can give us a brief synopsis, kind of in your own words. What can people expect from the film?
C'est très difficile de résumer ce film parce que une des problématiques que nous avons eues à l'écriture, c'est que nous voulions un film très riche en événements qui se passe sur plusieurs pays. Donc ça se passe en France, ça se passe en Irlande, ça se passe en Allemagne. On voulait que le film se déroule aussi sur plusieurs périodes et que le film soit aussi très hybride dans sa forme, c'est-à-dire qu'il y ait différents types de cinéma à l'intérieur même du film, tout en gardant une cohérence, une fluidité de narration. Donc résumé, c'est compliqué, mais je peux quand même essayer et vous dire que c'est une femme d'une soixantaine d'années qui rencontre son amour de jeunesse au tout début du film. Et on se rend compte qu'elle ne lui dit pas tout, notamment elle lui dit pas qu'elle a eu un fils avec lui. Mais le fait de revoir cet homme-là la plonge dans ses souvenirs et elle va revenir sur 40 années de sa vie et sur ses relations amoureuses et sur aussi sa relation à son fils. Et on va petit à petit découvrir certaines choses et c'est un film sur la fiction, comment tous dans nos vies on a besoin de se raconter des histoires pour faire face au réel.
And I think, one of the first questions has to be about Isabel. I mean, already she's, put in so many amazing performances, but here, once again, she's just so formidable. And maybe I can turn to you, Freya, and say, were you intimidated by that? I mean, I know you're playing a young Joan, but in some ways a young Isabel too. So, what was it like for you to be offered that role and how did you begin to take it on?
To your first question, was it intimidating? It's very simple, yes. It's very intimidating indeed, because she's such a powerhouse and she's such an incredible actor, and has been kind of such a staple in cinema, not just in France, but kind of globally. So she's an immediate presence, an immediate icon. So yeah, it was a lot of very stressful to sort of to step into that role. But I think like with anything, it's approaching it definitely as a character. And I think because of Laurent saying very rightly that this film is also it's so much about fiction and about the stories we tell of our lives. So even within that, I kind of allowed a bit of levity in thinking, well, it's all fiction. I might be imagined a different version in her mind, because we are, even physically, we're quite different. But there is something really attractive about kind of playing Isabelle younger, because there's so much research and footage out there that I can kind of go to. So that's already a great gift, kind of, to be able to approach a role.
I mean, I guess you didn't actually share scenes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, did you have any chance to kind of speak to her, learn from her? And then I was also going to ask about your incredible French. It's just embarrassing myself, so I don't remember anything from school. But is that something you already had, of course?
Yeah, I think I kind of did a lot of my own work before, of watching a lot of sort of stuff that she was in. And then Isabelle, I don't think we met very briefly at a costume fitting, first of all.
And one day on the shooting.
Yeah, and one day on set.
Of course, they didn't have any scene together because they are the same person.
Yeah.
But we have a dinner or something, but
yeah.
Very short time.
And I had a really memorable dinner with Isabelle. We were staying, the place we were staying, which is the kind of family home of Isabelle when she's older, and she goes with her son with a beautiful swimming pool. It was in this amazing kind of part in France, and I had one very memorable dinner of me, Isabelle, and the kind of the hôte, the sort of host of the place we were staying, and he plied us with wine, cheese, dessert. And I got to know her quite well that evening, so I had this one very memorable evening with just me, Isabelle, and this sort of very, very Frenchman. So that also was a massive help, because that was right at the beginning of the shoot.
And for you, Laurent, casting her, I mean, did you already have her in mind for this role? And were you even taken aback, just how enigmatic she was on the screen? And of course, to be presenting your film here at Berlin when it's kind of, they're honouring her with the Golden Bear.
Quand on fait du cinéma, quand on est français en plus, Isabelle Huppert représente énormément. Parce que j'ai grandi avec ses films et je ne pensais pas que ce soit possible qu'elle accepterait de faire un film avec un réalisateur qui avait réalisé seulement un projet. C'était mon deuxième film. Donc je rêvais l'Isabelle Huppert, mais ça me paraissait inaccessible. Et finalement, on lui a fait lire le scénario et elle a vu le potentiel du rôle, elle m'a fait confiance. Et je dois dire que, pour répondre à votre question, j'ai été effectivement très bouleversé par la performance et par sa manière d'imprimer une très très grande présence par le retrait. Ça, c'est très très énigmatique parce qu'on a l'impression qu'elle est très absente et en fait elle est là dans une présence pure. Donc c'est très très paradoxal et on ne sait pas du tout par où ça passe. Et une autre chose aussi, c'est que on ne sait pas, il y a aucune volonté dans son jeu. Les choses apparaissent. Et ça, pour un réalisateur, c'est inouï parce qu'on a l'impression qu'elle invente avant vous presque les choses qui doivent apparaître sur l'écran. Donc oui, c'est absolument fascinant. Et le fait qu'elle reçoive un ours d'or d'honneur ce soir pour l'ensemble de sa carrière et que le film soit projeté à l'issue de cette cérémonie, évidemment, ça me touche beaucoup parce que j'ai le sentiment que voilà, on fait une petite part je fais partie du cinéma, de l'histoire du cinéma et de l'histoire de sa carrière.
What I really love about the film is even though it deals with, you know, a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt and how that affects us, you know, in our later life. There's also a lot of levity and a lot of fun. You know, the scene where her kind of beau is being interviewed, he's kind of acting up, and of course the scenes where she's younger, they're having so much fun. So was that an appeal for you, for example, of the film, that it balances those two things?
For me, absolutely. I think that was done so beautifully in the writing, and it's such a testament to the script and the story, is that it really does feel like a sort of not so little slice of life, because it's not a tiny sliver, it's many slivers, but it does that beautifully. I think it deals with these massive, topics like, you know, grief, abandonment, doubt, regret, loss. It sort of is so massive, but then is peppered with these really beautiful, funny. It's really funny. Like when I first read the script, I laughed a lot kind of reading it, and then I would cry when, you know, you have a moment of Isabelle reading her mother's letter, and it's so kind of, and to be able to have those like sort of to have those breaks, to have that sort of immediate contrast is so also true to life. The past 2 years have taught us anything, it's that, you know, the world is crazy and things change very quickly, and I think that was a massive appeal. It felt very true to life experience, but again rendered in this beautifully sort of accentuated fictional way, you know, also leaning into that side, the storytelling, the different settings, the different characters. I thought it was it was a beautiful balance of those things.
C'était un des enjeux du film et de l'écriture. Le film est un mélodrame, mais nous voulions que ce soit un mélodrame contrarié. C'est-à-dire qu'il y ait énormément de choses drôles pour contrebalancer le côté mélodrame et sans arrêt être surpris mais parce que dans la vie, c'est ce qui se passe. On peut vivre des drames absolument terribles et puis éclater de rire parce que une situation va être loufoque, burlesque. Et on voulait retranscrire comment la vie est faite de chaud et de froid. Et ça ressemblait aussi au personnage de Joan qu'on voulait, malgré les drames qu'elle peut vivre, toujours du côté de la vie. Et ça commence avec effectivement la partie de la jeunesse interprétée par Freya, où j'avais besoin d'une actrice qui soit lumineuse et qui soit pleine de vie, justement pour asseoir dans le personnage ensuite la force de vie qui l'anime toujours, et qu'on soit toujours du côté de la vie malgré la difficulté.
And so ultimately, what do you hope people will take away from watching it? Because of that balance, you know, it does maybe help people think about things in their own life and traumas they've suffered. But, you know, maybe the answer is to always choose life. And, you know, you can always find happiness even though you've had things happen in your past. What do you think people take away?
It's funny that the Choose Life slogan is then like train spotting. I'm like, it's a different version of Choose Life. less drugs maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is that. I think it's just sort of maybe have a sort of, I don't know, I feel we watch it and we can have it, and at least I obviously have a lot of tenderness for the character having, you know, played her, but I feel there is a lot of sort of tenderness towards her and her life and her struggles and what she's gone through and her sort of humility and and her resilience and grace. And I think it seems to be, at least to kind of be an ode to sort of having an element of tenderness or a view of tenderness about life and the sort of the hardships of it, how hard it is and how random and absurd it can be, but to kind of have a sort of approach of an angle or a lens of kindness or sort of tenderness towards that journey. Yeah, that's sort of how I see it.
Ce que je pourrais dire sur la façon dont les gens peuvent ce que les gens peuvent retirer du film, c'est peut-être qu'il n'y a pas de loi, il n'y a pas de vérité, que chacun fait comme il peut et que une des voies possibles, c'est d'avoir recours à l'imaginaire, c'est de trouver des aides pour vivre là où on peut et que l'imaginaire en fait partie. Et que oui, moi je pense que la fiction est un rempart à la douleur.
And just very quickly to say also that I love that there's so many more films now that really delve into kind of the very specific pressures that face women, and particularly I like the fact that it kind of focuses much more on her, and the men in her life are kind of, you know, they're there, but that's not the focus. So I don't know, from a female perspective, do you think that this is something that's a nice thing to see more and more on screen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's giving full agency and respect to a female character in her entirety. It's not reducing her to one thing. It's allowing her to be multiple and various. We're so used to getting sort of one identity that stays very much in that realm, whereas this is allowing her to be so many different things, which is what we all are, and it's what a life is. So to be able to get that and see that and have that kind of, I don't know, just exist is a great gift. And it's also it's so obvious that's just how it should be, but it isn't most of the time. So of course it's, you know, it's fantastic when you get projects that really just respect that, lean into that, embrace that totally.
I think I'm out of time, but it's been such a pleasure to speak to you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And,
Thank you very
can't
much.
wait to also see Isabel celebrated this evening. So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.